Bad association spoils useful. I'm just kidding. In all seriousness, we are an average of the 3 to 5 people we spend the most time with. I don't know how scientific that is, but I do know that does have an influence on us. If you feel like your life is monotonous and it's time to clear house and get some new friends, or you lost all your friends and you're starting over like this guy, this video is going to be about how you can go about finding a new tribe if you want to. I've been able to rebuild my circle of friends very, very quickly, and that's one of the things that helped me move on so fast from my past. Short version, in summary, I'm going to give you the short answer first, is yes, you have to go out and do meetups and meet people, but ideally you want to hang out with people who you want to be like. So they should be somewhat ahead of you. So that's the short and sweet version. This next part is the longer bit. The first thing you want to do starts even before you go out and do any meetups or anything, in my opinion, which I should preface this with. This video is just based on my experiences. I am not a coach. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a professional in any of those fields. These are just based on my experiences, and I'm just on the internet sharing my ideas on what has worked for me. So you can do whatever you want with what I'm about to say. The first thing you want to do is identify who you want to be 5 years from now, and then 10 years from now. This immediately grabs your mind out of the past and thinking about what you've lost and what's in the past that you can't control anymore, and put it in the parts that we're going to go towards. We're directing our attention towards the future. Yes, we're going to be present and enjoy each step, but we're going to have a plan on where we're going to go. A lot of people like to call this having a vision. For me, that was very simple. I wanted to be financially comfortable, I wanted to be able to travel, and I wanted to live an upscale lifestyle. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there. Then I started wanting to imagine what kind of traits would this future Tenome have. This future Tenome would be happy. He's not going to have the victim mentality. He's not going to complain. Any challenges that come at him, he's going to tackle them head on because he's been through a lot. And I can see it. That's the version of Tenome 5 years from now that I want to be. So you can map out whatever version that is for you. And some of that is based on, like role models and people that I look up to in like business. So for me, that's like Alex Hormozi, Patrick Bet-David. You can find them on YouTube. They talk about entrepreneurship, business. The one thing I noticed those guys never do is they never complain. They work hard. Their output of work compared to like a normal person is insane. So I'm very inspired by that. And it shows me that you don't get to that level by complaining. And of course, they face problems like everybody else. Well, their problems are different, right? But they would face it like anyone else would. Even take someone who was like president, like Barack Obama. I have no intentions of ever being president or getting involved in politics, but I've always been curious of what it would be like to be a president. So in his book, Promised Land, Barack Obama breaks down his personal experience of being president, and he takes you behind the scenes of it, and it's fascinating. It's basically like any other job. There's people you don't like, but you have to get along with, except the cameras are always on you. And the reason I'm sharing this is because he talked about how traveling with his family and the 2 little girls on the Air Force One was more difficult than flying commercial. I didn't believe it at first, but like as I was reading it, he was explaining how you would leave from Washington and you would land at like 3 a.m. US time in whatever country. And you got to make sure the girls are up before that. You got to shower them, put nice clothes on them, get them ready. They're all groggy. They're annoyed. And then you got to land with smiling faces because it's daylight hour in that country, and then shake hands with whatever foreign diplomat that greets you. And you have to coach the little girls on what to say, and they can't be annoyed on TV. And he was saying, back before his life in politics, flying commercial, he didn't have to worry about any of that, which is crazy, right? You'd think being president of the United States, you wouldn't have to worry about stuff like that, but I guess it's all relative. Now, of course, you might say his problems are first world problems. 100%, you're right. But, my point is that everyone faces problems, and complaining doesn't get you anywhere. So next, now that you've identified the person you want to be, you want to start acting like that person today. The reason for that is because you want to be the person that you want to attract. And let me tell you why this is important. Back when I was a kid, many years ago, whenever I was bad, there was something my mom would always say to me. She would ask me, will you want to be father to a child that acts like you? In English, it doesn't have that same punch it does in Thai, but every time she said it in Thai, I would always feel it. And even back when I was 7 or 8 years old, every time she asked me that, I could picture myself being a 30, 40-year-old man, having a child my age, and acting like myself at that time. And then I could understand her perspective and say, yeah, I am being a brat right now. And then that would stop. So why is this relevant? Back when I first woke up, I was in that angry phase, right? I was angry and I was bitter. So I would just think back. One of the reasons I dropped that was that I would think back to what my mom said to me of like, except this time it would be, would you want to be around yourself? Because I'm not a kid anymore. And then I realized very quickly, no, I wouldn't, right? Like that Tenome was bitter, angry, negative. I don't want to be around a person like that. So it's good to think about that. Think about yourself from a third person perspective and think about, would I hang out with me? And it's truly reflective on yourself. And it can be quite thought provoking. And of course, you don't want to put it off. So you want to start acting like that person 5, 10 years from now today. right? So if you imagine yourself being a fit person, what would a fit person be eating? If you imagine yourself being a businessman, what would the businessman do with his free time? Would he be playing video games, or would he be networking or doing something else, right? You get the point. Now, to me, I feel like all of this can be done before you even start going out there and meeting people. At least that's what I did. I had a game plan. And then with that game plan, when you start going to these meetups and things like that, you know exactly what kind of person you're looking for, right? You can start identifying, okay, this person is not going to be a battery that kind of makes me feel good and gives me energy. They're going to be like a vampire. They're going to take energy away from me. And the cool part about these meetups is they're built on shared interests, not forced relationships. That may be a church group. There may be a group of people that goes running together. I don't know what that's called. I hate running, but that, maybe that's your thing. But who knows? Try out a bunch of things. I've hung out with all kinds of people. I've hung out with people that I will never hang out with again in my life, but that's why we're here, right? We're here to learn, we're here to experiment, and that's part of the growth. And as you're busy with building this new version of yourself and forming new connections, for me at least, I felt like I had no time to more in the past. And what I lost was an addition by subtraction, really, because the people I'm around now, I can be myself. And that was one of the things that made me comfortable enough to just start posting on social media without fear of judgment. But let me know what meetups have you been doing? What groups have resonated with you? For me, is people who are into fitness, entrepreneurship, self-development, those kind of things. But everybody's going to have a different answer for this. And that's what makes the journey fun. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.